What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video what we're going to be looking into is essentially the history behind Star Trek, what they've been able to achieve as a brand, what they've been able to do in terms of box office sales, movie sales. We're going to take a dive into their merchandise, what type of merchandise they've sold, get a feel for the volume of merchandise they've been able to sell, and then also take another look into the company owners and essentially what they have invested interest in to get a general feel about what's going on behind the scenes, maybe potential brand deals that could get brought into VEVE. Obviously that is speculation from my side, but we can always take a look at their invested interest and get an idea about the potential of what these successful launches could look like and the potential brands that could be brought in the future. But yeah, first I want to thank you all for being here again. I'm really excited to bring this information to you. I hope that you learned something, maybe get a pen and paper out and take some notes, because one of the biggest things that I like to do is when I'm investing into something or when I'm taking part into something, I like to get an idea essentially what it is I'm a part of and why I am a part of it. So understanding the brand, understanding what's being introduced is a good thing to know. And the second note I'd like to say is I actually don't and haven't watched a lot of Star Trek, so if I do make mistakes, I apologise. I'm not the biggest fan of it, not because, more so because I haven't actually watched much of it, so it's more on me really, but I can appreciate the passionate fan base it's created, and we can look into the data and see what they've been able to produce over time. So what I'd like to do is bring your attention here first to the box office history for Star Trek movies. And if I scroll down here, we'll have a first look at the total amount of revenue generated for worldwide box office sales by Star Trek. And as you can see here, they've done 2.2 billion in sales over its course of time. And I think that's an important point to make again, is that this brand has had global impact. It's known and it's achieved incredible numbers over its lifespan and continued lifespan within its own brand, within its own movies. And like I touched on in the previous video that I made, when you have brands that have had this kind of global impact, have had this sort of globalized interest, you begin to get that mega fans, these people that will go on to collect, will go on to essentially buy and purchase beyond just the movie itself. And I think for us, we need to take some notes into that because we are essentially a collectible. And in the VEVE marketplace, when they introduce these brands, we need to get an idea, not only about the potential NFTs that will be introduced, which is what I'm going to touch on later on in this video, but whether these fans are actually interested in buying their collectibles. But we can begin to get an idea of that through them actually watching the movies. Because the movie in this instance is capturing the attention of our audience. It's capturing the attention of the potential people that are going to come into the NFT space. And then from there, from the passion that they get from watching the films, understanding the characters, understanding the roles these characters play, we can then get a feel for whether they will translate into buying the collectibles. But we can see here that by having $2.2 billion worth of sales, it's obviously something that has spiked interest, and it's something that's also stood the test of time. If you look at the first movie release here of December 7th, 1979, to its most recent movie release on July 22nd, 2016, you can see that it's continued to maintain its user base, it's continued to maintain its relevancy within culture, within sort of collecting culture and sci-fi culture. So, you know, that's an important note to take, that if we can introduce, and when VEVE introduce these new NFTs into the space through Star Trek, if they can capture what the fan base is passionate about, which I'm absolutely certain they'll be able to do, we will see that sort of historic translation of their customer base coming through, and hopefully, if delivered in the right way by establishing this maturity inside of the NFT space, we'll see them go on to buy and get involved and bring new eyeballs, bring new attention into VEVE, making this partnership an incredibly powerful, impactful decision they've made, which is exciting. It's exciting for us all. So the next thing I want to touch on really, and it's the only thing I was able to find on merchandise sales, is maybe get an idea behind that translation between you know, they've gone in to watch the movie, they've gone to go actually and see and take an invested interest, but will that translate into merchandise sales? Because it doesn't always happen that way. You know, just because a movie's done well doesn't mean people will go on to buy it, buy merchandise and to collect and to play with, or essentially, or maybe invest into long term. And as a collectible space, as VEVE being a collectible space, it's important for us to remember that we need those passionate fans to come over to want to collect. What I was able to find here is that Star Trek merchandise generated $4 billion for Paramount in 2002. And I think that's an important point to make here, that they're able to generate, in this instance, more from their merchandise than the actual movies themselves, which further validates and highlights the magnitude of a deal of this size. You know, the movie sales is one thing, but to be able to achieve more within its merchandise, I think validates how a partnership with Star Trek in the VEVE application is going to have huge impacts when bringing new customers, bringing new people into the VEVE application, and essentially bringing new eyeballs and new general awareness to the NFT marketplace. Because ultimately that's what we want to be. We want to, although my invested interest is into VEVE and the NFT space, obviously, I think it's important for us to keep in mind that the general health and the general awareness of NFTs is also a huge, important role and important factor when looking at what VEVE can go on to produce further down the line, or even in relevant time. Because we need to have that translation, we need to have that maturity, we need to have that new user base coming into the space, and having these big deals like from Star Trek with the merchandise generating over $4 billion in sales. It gives us that general idea of what there is and the future fan base and that future maturity within VEVE, within the NFT collectibles, which is really exciting. So the next thing I want to have a little look at here is it was a thread that I was found. So this is a little bit less factual, but it's also interesting to hear some facts and figures thrown around from this. And they said they found this on Wikipedia. I wasn't able to find this, but we'll still go through it anyway. So according to Wikipedia and its source, which includes various revenue reporting sites, the franchise grossed $10.6 billion up to 2016. So this is combined earnings. This is merchandise, this is movie sales, making it a humongous top 50 worldwide franchise. So we can't undermine the huge potential of what Star Trek can bring to VEVE, bringing those the sci-fi passionate user base, and bringing that interest over. So we can have a look as well to update to somewhat add 343 million from ST Beyond, 100 million from Starfleet Command video games, 159 million in 2016 from licensing, 180 million in 2017, 192 million in 2018, demonstrating the growth, demonstrating that further expansive nature of people being interested in Star Trek, that validating that point I made previously, that this is a brand that stood the test of time. Their user base have stuck around and have continued to enjoy and continued to buy not just the movies, but also go into the collecting as well, which can give us maybe some confidence that they will also translate that interest into these newfound NFTs that VEVE are going to introduce. Because when you have passionate fans that follow a brand for that kind of length of time, and they continue to go on to watch the films, to buy the merchandise, I personally believe that brand reputation, that the genuine side of Star Trek, the real licensed Star Trek memorabilia and NFTs being brought into VEVE application, this will allow users or previous users to invest their interest further. And come into the NFT space to follow Star Trek, to follow the brand, and ultimately bring more awareness to VEVE. So this is a very interesting thing to read into, and yeah, just make you guys aware of. And then another thing I looked at here was sort of the 17 best Star Trek toys, props, and models that money can buy. And maybe this can give us a feel for the sort of NFTs that are going to be introduced when Star Trek gets brought into this. So we've got the scale enterprise model. Now, I know for big Star Trek fans, they're going to know huge amounts of this. This is new for me, new to my reading, but you know, they might bring a scale enterprise model into the NFT space, and that'd be really cool to see. You know, you can imagine in the augmented reality the spaceship and what you'd be able to do. Maybe the flashing lights, be able to walk into it. Who knows? So you know, the possibility behind this are endless. We got the DST communicator and phaser. And what I'll do here is I'll just scroll through so you can get a general feel and a general look about the type of memorabilia, the type of NFTs that could be created and brought into this space. Yeah, I think that's another important thing to say. You know, we don't know what's going to be introduced. We can only do our research and speculate. But I guess if we do have a look into it, look into the history, have a look into what memorabilia people are interested in with inside of Star Trek from other sectors, from other more physical sectors. Excuse me. We can get an idea of maybe what's going to be brought into the space and what collectors in history have enjoyed and what they might further enjoy in the digital collectible space. So just have a little scroll through, get a general feel. If you're a Star Trek fan, it's going to mean a lot to you. And I'm sure you're really excited about this collaboration if you're here now reading into this and watching this video. So what I'm going to do here next is I'm going to take a jump into the actual company owners. So Viacom CBS is actually the owners of, Star Trek. And as I was doing my research, I wanted to have a little look and get a general feel, maybe of projections of if this becomes a successful launch, if this becomes something that catches in a way that I feel it will. You know, what other brands could be introduced? Where is their invested interest? What other things do they own? And just as a disclaimer from this part, this is all speculation from this point. I'm just speculating about potentially what could be brought in, the kind of conversations that may be happening behind closed doors. And as a community, maybe we can have a look into and get an idea about if this company owns Star Trek, what other things are they involved with? And one of the things this sort of brought my attention to here was that they own Paramount Pictures. And when actually having a look into Paramount Pictures and seeing where they're invested interest into, I saw something pretty interesting that they have invested interest into Nickelodeon movies. Now, Nickelodeon, if you haven't heard of it, they sort of it's more children based. So they bring like SpongeBob SquarePants movies. They brought Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles. And these other sort of well-known brands that we sort of grew up with as children, or I grew up as a child, and I think that's something to keep in mind as this space develops and as this space matures, to bring children and parents together to enjoy these NFTs, to enjoy essentially this newfound collectible. Bringing kids into this space is going to be a big part, and I believe a big part of the role that's moving forward. Just because, you know, it's that parent-child bond. You see this a lot with big brands. That kind of bringing the family together to watch and to enjoy. And if you have a look here, I'm just going to take your attention to what Nickelodeon Movies owns and the things they've been able to achieve. It's like I previously touched on, Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, The Adventure of Tintin, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and a whole load of other featured films. So, like I say, this part is speculation, but it'd be interesting to see whether something like this could come into fruition further forward. I personally am a massive fan of SpongeBob SquarePants. I grew up with it. I really enjoyed it. To see something like that brought into an NFT would be incredibly exciting for me. And this is why I say, when you look into companies, when you look into what they own, it can give you a feel and a flavour of maybe these conversations are happening behind closed doors. Because ultimately, if one company is successful within this, and we see this snowball effect that I spoke about in the past, where, you know, one company has brought their brand in, has had success, another company brings their brand in, has success, and brings more eyeballs, brings more attention, we're going to see this further validate the space and that confidence, that brand confidence, to bring themselves into the VEVE application, bring themselves into the NFT marketplace. And allow their users, allow their passionate fans to collect, to buy, and essentially invest into their brands as they move forward into NFTs. So I want to say thank you for watching this video. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I hope you've gone away learning something from this, that I've been able to deliver value to you and help you further educate and further, I guess, widen your knowledge of these brands that are being brought in and the potential future that these successful launches could bring. And yeah, thank you for watching. I've been your host, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.